I stopped forcing myself to journal quite a while ago. And honestly, it's a really big relief. Here's what I do instead. There's so much information out there about journaling, about getting your thoughts out on paper, about sitting with your thoughts and, letting what comes up, gratitude journaling, all these different things. And I don't know what it is, but I can't do it. I've tried. I think it's the ADHD. I think it's because I've tried to force myself to journal, to diary so much that my brain is just like, no, we're not even going there again. Like, we're not doing this anymore. So let's get into it. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Chloe. I am a Neurospicy artist and witch, and this is the channel where I just kind of talk about life and the way that I see it, the way that I move through the world. It's still, changing up a little, but if you find this useful, I would love if you subscribe, but wait till the end because I want to make sure you actually get use out of it. So let's get back into it. Journaling. Why can't I do it? Honestly, I don't fully know, but once I stopped trying, things got a lot easier. So how do I journal instead? I kind of do it in my brain in an abstract way. And that doesn't mean I visualize, words on paper, but I try I try to see whatever thought, whatever thing it is that I'm journaling about from a lot of different angles. As if, by the way, I'm working on rolling some rice bowls as I'm making this video. But as if each thought, each thing that I want to journal about is a little rice ball. It's a sphere. It has so many different grains, different, almost said kernel, different pieces, different facets, different edges. And any thought, any action, any moment, any dream, it can be the exact same thing too. You know, they say a picture says 1,000 words. Well, if a picture says 1,000 words, how many words are there behind each single thought? And that's kind of what my approach is. So I try to take moments to sit in stillness, to sit in quietness, maybe with a song on repeat or a song with no lyrics, just something to tune out the outside world so I can focus the same way I would as if I were journaling. And I bring up the thought. What is the original thought? I'm gonna use something like really easy, the first thing that popped into mind, which is I don't like rice. I grew up not liking rice. I hated rice as a kid. Now I'm making rice balls and I eat these 3 times a week. Yeah, honestly, 3 times a week right now. But before I could start actually eating them regularly, I had to undo this thought of I hate rice. Rice is horrible. I can never eat rice. I can never cook rice. I always cook rice wrong. So many negative thoughts. But that one initial thought was, I don't like rice. And from that came all of these beliefs. So how do we undo this through a journaling lens? Well, I don't like rice. What's one facet of that? When's the first time I remember not liking rice? As a kid. I hated rice as a kid. Why didn't I like rice as a kid? Well, because we didn't have a lot of money and I was forced to eat rice because rice is cheap, rice is easy. And there was a lot of rice. There was a lot of stir fry. Also didn't like stir fry, likely because of the rice. That's just one little grain of rice of thoughts around I don't like rice. When are some other times that these thoughts have come up? Well, I don't like the rice from buffets. It's always plain. It's always just bland. I don't like white rice. It doesn't have any flavor. Why would I eat something that I don't even like if it doesn't have any flavor? I don't like the texture of it. I don't like the stickiness of it. Sometimes it actually gives me headaches. That was a new thought I had only recently. But I hope you're like understanding, right? I'm trying to take this one single statement and almost like a little mind map, right? What other statements come up in my head from that initial statement? And how can I follow that trail? How can I follow that thought? Where will that original thought lead me? The questions I like to ask of the thoughts. So, original thought, I don't like rice. Thought that follows that, I don't like rice because I didn't like rice as a kid. How can I see that as like different? How can I look at these in different things? Questions you can ask are, when did I first feel this? How long have I been feeling this way? When do I feel like this? Is it all the time or is it just some of the time? Do any memories come to mind from this initial thought? How did my siblings feel about this thought? How did my parents feel about this thought? What was my experience with this thought out in the community? Did I live somewhere where everybody hated rice or everybody loved rice? Did that make me love it or hate it more? And you try to ask yourself questions and try to think of it from a lot of different angles. Now, for me, when I'm doing this, I don't like rice because it's a very easy, light topic that it's not difficult. There aren't a ton of negative connotations around it. But if you go with something a little more difficult, like being an artist, being a witch, being a creative, being ill, a lot of people are realizing just how chronically ill they are. If you take a statement that's a little heavier like that, and you're doing this almost like journaling practice with it, you might find your mind not wanting to think certain thoughts. For me, I kind of like to think of this like shiny objects syndrome. If you've got ADHD, you've seen up, squirrel. You get distracted by different things. When I'm doing this practice and I find myself having a thought I don't want to be having, a lot of times that's when the urge to pick up my phone will come. When I'll say, no, that's fine. I've done enough. I don't need to do this anymore. I'm just going to let myself be distracted. Usually that means I'm onto something. Usually that means there's something there that I need to be seeing that I don't really want to see. I don't really want to look at. And I would say use your intuition here. Some things you might not actually be ready to look at, to see, to be with, to sit with, and that can be okay. You know yourself best, and I'm not going to be here telling you to do something that you are not ready for, because if you're watching this, you probably have a lot of hard things in your childhood, a lot of hard things that you've had to work through, and sometimes we're just not ready for that, and that's okay. That is being aware of our trauma, but sometimes we need to move through things. Sometimes it's small things, but we need to know ourselves. We need to listen to ourselves, and we need to listen to whether we can handle it or not. And you can listen to your physical body too. If you're trying to go down, this one thought trail, and you feel like you're going to have a panic attack, if you feel like your chest is tightening and you can't talk, you can't breathe, you can't get out of work, like I'm bringing up this energy, talking about that energy is putting me in that energy and making me feel anxious. So I'm going to stop there. But I hope you understand, recognize the symptoms of you not doing well. What your panic attack symptoms look like, what you shutting down looks like, and don't make yourself go that far. Start slow. Start with 2 minutes. Set a timer. That's fine. You're allowed to set timers. You're allowed to put a limit on it, a hard limit. And if you have a hard limit, that's totally fine. Just come back. You don't have to practice this every day. But this is more just to show you how I work through the thoughts, how I work and process through all the things, through the shadow work, without actually having to journal, because it doesn't work for me. I've tried so many times, the amount of notebooks I've had, but my brain shuts down at journaling. That's a nervous system response for me. Nope, can't do it. And so this is my alternative. This is me taking that step back and listening to my body and recognizing that I can't journal. So I need to figure out how to do something that I can do that works for me. And that's what this is. Now, something that's really, really helpful if you are doing this and you are going into something heavy is to do something regulating as you're sitting with these thoughts. Maybe you have a reminder, if you're going into a session that's going to be a little heavier, that I am safe, I am okay, everything is okay, I am in a safe space, I am loved, I love myself, whatever it is that you're needing it. And come back to that statement as often as you need in this session. A great thing to pair it with is some form of movement. So if you're going on a walk in the forest, that's a great way to practice this, because that's actually going to help calm you down. That bipedal movement of walking is actually going to help you process as well. Other things that are really, really good is if you've done any form of tapping. Now, I'm not going to show you a physical example because my hands are all rice bally, but the butterfly hug, you would just tap back and forth from shoulder, tap back and forth like this on your legs, anywhere in your body. It's just that bipedal tapping, right? That is going to help you stay calm, and it's going to help you process. Other great ways you can do this too are tossing a ball back and forth, right? Or if you have dirt, dirt is actually a really good one. If you have like wet soil and stuff like that, the smell is actually going to help your body feel relaxed too. But just passing dirt from your hand back and forth, just little things. The point isn't to push ourselves past what we can manage. The point is to just be able to journal and work through some of these things in a way that works for us. A lot of people recommend journaling, but for a lot of people, journaling doesn't work. Now, this is something I do across the board, whether it is, for manifesting, for scripting, for gratitude journaling. This is what I do. I do it in my head because that's what works for me. I'm a thinker. Now, does that mean I never write? No. Sometimes I do actually write things. Sometimes I will sit there and do this whole processing in my head, and then I'll go just jot down a couple quick notes so that I remember what I worked through, so I have that reference that I can go back to, because for me, having references really helps me see how far I've come. But I'm not going to force myself to write it all in detail. I might just write the highlights, write a total of 10 words or 3 points, or you know what I mean? Just so I know how far I've come, but not in a way that it's forcing me to do something that I don't want to do. Now, are there times where I try to journal still? Yeah. Am I never going to stop trying? Probably not. But I've gotten to the point where I no longer force myself to journal. I let myself process in a way that works for me. So yeah, hopefully this was really helpful. If you'd like me to talk more on this subject, or if you have any questions, please let me know, because I feel like this isn't something a lot of people talk about. And with such a push for journaling all the time, I feel like having easy alternatives that are accessible when physical writing isn't, it's a good thing. It's important. So yeah, anyways, thank you for being here. Again, my name is Chloe. I'm an artist and witch. I appreciate you. You are amazing as applesauce. I don't know where that came from, but I like it, so we're going to keep it in there. If you like this video, please subscribe. I hope I will see you in the next one, and have an amazing day.